Sandra, welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my Asexual Life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button right here, right now. Please hit the bell icons to get notified of every time I go live like now, post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying the content as we go along. If you don't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this beautiful book, Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration, asexual diversity. And it's 47 real asexual life stories. The links are below if you want to check it out. I'm also the founder of asexualise.com and the founder of Asexualise Academy. Well, tonight's episode is courtesy of someone I was speaking to on ASAP. If you don't know what ASAP is, it's an asexual dating app, which is available for Android and iPhones as well. So it's available from the Play Store and the Apple Store. So it's a good app. There are pros and cons to it. Overall, I would recommend using it. However, there's some people on there that aren't legitimate. So you do have to be careful, as you do with any dating site, asexual or not, and any app. And so anyway, I started messaging this person who's in the UK actually, and because I was very interested in what they had to say. And actually I'll read it out to you. Obviously I won't identify them, but this video is about self-love, why it's important to self-love, and why it's important to your relationships to self-love. So if you haven't got any self-love, you're not really feeling it, then this video is for you. So this person in their profile, they put their profession is being myself. And I just thought that was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing that they put as their profession, right? It was basically saying that they were liking being their true, authentic self. And self-love does come from that core being, right? Self-love comes from you being your true, authentic self, no matter what anyone else says, thinks or does. This is my embrace your quirky philosophy. If you don't know, I overcame depression in 2012 using my embrace your quirky philosophy, which is all about being your true, authentic self, no matter what anyone else says, thinks or does. It's very, 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 very important that you do this, right? And so being yourself should be your main job. It should be your profession. It should be the most important thing in your life, because if you're not being true to who you are, you're just living in a fantasy land or fallacy all the time. You'll never ever get close to yourself. You'll never ever love yourself or really like yourself for who you are, because you'll just be liking bits of you which is made up by other people. You'll be reacting to people all the time instead of actually standing on your own two feet, thinking for yourself, being yourself, loving yourself, doing stuff for yourself, having self-esteem and self-worth. You'll just be kind of like going along with the motions of other people, reacting to the way they talk to you, what they do, the demands they put on you and everything like that, which of course is not good when you get into a relationship, because then you don't really know what you want. You haven't assessed yourself as to what your needs are in a relationship. Therefore, when you get in one with someone, it can be very tricky. Same with friendships. If you're not established really truly who you are and what you want and what you don't want, you might have lack of boundaries in a friendship where someone might overstep their mark with you and do stuff you don't want to do. So it's very, very important that in life we come from a place of self-love and self-worth. Self-love equates to self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence, self-reliance, right? You have to take responsibility for yourself ultimately in this world. If you're still going around blaming other people for everything that happens in your life, then wake up to the reality that you are in charge of your life, no one else. You in this bodily form are here now in this present moment, and you are the one that's in control and in charge of yourself. So with that in mind, you then need to know how to self-love, right? It's no good going around just hating yourself or disliking yourself, right? You are going to be with yourself for a very long time. And if you don't like yourself and love yourself, it's going to be a very, very upsetting ride for you. So anyway, this person on ASAP that I messaged that said being myself is their profession, right? I put love your profession And they put, why, thank you, Missy. It honestly isn't very fascinating. And I put, I love being myself and I find it fascinating. I never get bored of me. And that is true, right? That is absolutely true. I get bored of a lot of things, but not me. And they put, give it time, you soon will. This was my reply. No, never get bored of myself. I may get bored of TV, which is why I don't watch it. I may get bored of sport, which is why I don't watch that either. I may get bored of repetitive tasks or get bored easily in general, but never with myself, as I'm too hyper and quirky for that. No time to get bored of me and no way I could. Far too much of an interesting character. I even sometimes get upset if I died because I would miss myself so much. I wasn't always full of self-love until 2012 when my life changed. And this is so true. I've actually sat here and taken myself kind of out of myself and think what would happen if I was to look at myself like an out-of-body experience. I've kind of thought it in my head, look down on myself and I'd be dead and I'd be at my own funeral, or I'd be seeing myself dead in hospital, or I'd be seeing myself dead in the bed, or I'd just like, I'd be dead. Hopefully I wouldn't have to go to hospital for anything bad, you know what I mean? But it's like, if I look back, say I was a different person and I was viewing me as a person I lost and who died, and whose funeral I was going to and whose life I was looking at, I would really miss me. I would be so upset. That's how much I now love myself. I didn't have that. Prior to 2012, I was depressed. I used to want to die. I used to think about dying and death and suicide years ago. And it got a bit less in 2009 when I realised my life purpose was writing, but I still had a lot of bleak moments where I didn't want to be here in life. I didn't see the point to it. I really didn't. And it's only when I started doing personal professional development in 2012. First of all, I had my fibromyalgia diagnosis. And after 6 months of coming to terms with that, from January 2012 to July 2012, 6 months it took me to come to terms with the fact I've got a disability for life, which usually would be quite depressing. But I suddenly thought that, if I carried on having this depressed mindset, then I would end up on crutches or in a wheelchair like loads of other people are with fibro. Not all the world's like that. Some people are fine, but they can get around. But there's quite a lot of people at least on crutches. They have good walking problems, right? And I knew in that moment, just like that if I kept the mindset that I'd been having for years, then my pain in my body would increase and it would get so crippling and debilitating, because fibromyalgia makes you super sensitive to any type of pain. And this includes emotional pain, right? It's a big factor in fibromyalgia pain is emotional pain. I've got a book that will be coming out called How to Manage Fibromyalgia Like a Superhero Rock Star. And it's an amazing book. I've just finished the final writing of it. Just got a few more. I've just got to go over it again for spellings, but I've also got a traditional publisher interest in it. If not, I'm going to publish it under my own imprint. So that's going to be amazing. But people don't realize how much emotions play a part in fibromyalgia pain. It's humongous. And I just intuitively knew that back in 2012, after 6 months of struggling with it. I've got a disability for life. What the hell am I going to do? I can't change it, and it's it's really upsetting, isn't it? When you go into, you don't know what's wrong with you. You spend a couple of years nearly having tests, and then, well, at least the previous year, and then you get wrong diagnosis and you're finally diagnosed with the thing you was suggested inadvertently that you might be. And it was just it was a shock. And I didn't get any help from the NHS in the UK. I went to see these people, right? And I saw this man and woman. One woman was on about breathing techniques. That's all she said to me. Do breathing, deep breathing. And I saw this guy, and he was more concerned about my anxiety than he was about my fibro and how I'm trying to deal with fibromyalgia in my mind. So I had no help from them whatsoever. I know that they said, we don't need to see you again. And so I was completely on my own. Nothing, no backup, no nothing. I had no one that I knew directly to talk to about fibro. I made some friends and some groups, but, they would always talk about quite a lot of their pain, and it made my mind worse. So a lot of the time I decided it's better if I'm not in a group so much, you know. And but I just knew all of a sudden after 6 months, I just knew that the all this emotional upset that I've been carrying around with me, my depression for years, because was bullied as a child and I had a lot of problems as growing up and in bad relationships from a very young age. And so I had all these issues going on, and all of a sudden in 2012, it just clicked that if I carried on being this way in my mind and thinking all these negative thoughts about not being here on this earth anymore, then I would literally end up on crutches or in a wheelchair. And that is the freedom that I didn't want to be taken away from me, you know. I never ever wanted to be on crutches or in a wheelchair. That to me personally would be like being in prison for me, because I am an extrovert person, right? I need to go out. I need to be being free to be me. I need to be young and alive and vibrant. But at that time in July 2012, it was the time of my awakening. It was the time my life completely changed, because I was like, I can't continue to have this depression, these suicidal thoughts ever again. I can't continue this negative mindset, because if I did, I knew I'd end up on crutches or wheelchair. I just knew it. So all of a sudden it clicked that I just couldn't have this negative mindset anymore. And I just stopped doing it. I stopped thinking about death and suicide and depression. I just stopped it dead in its tracks. That was it. Click, bang. I just didn't want my freedom to be lost. And I thought, there is no way on this planet I'm going to let myself go that way, right? Not without a fight, right? So if I'm going to be like that, I'm going to live life to the max, right? So that's kind of when I decided that I was just going to live life to the max. You know, I've decided that, you know, like, I just decided to change my life around, right? But it wasn't just that, right? It wasn't until I went to this personal and professional development in 2012 and I saw a guy called Tony Robbins. He's like the world's leading coach, right? And when I saw him, he got us to change our state through movement and music. So if you're in like a slumpy state, a bad mood, a depressed mood, mood that's not very energetic, you're feeling quite lethargic, right? He taught us in the audience how to change our state through movement and music. And that's when I started being young me. The young me that I was always supposed to be, because I was so happy with this music. I was so elated with this dance music. I was so happy jumping up and down that I thought, this is me. This is who I really am. And I haven't been this person for since I've been a kid. And I'd lost me, because I'm like, I am this person. I am this young teenager. I am this young person. Why am I living this old life? Why am I living this life of doing what society says, of going out to work in a 9-to-5 job, of doing the relationship like a normal relationship and being miserable because of it? I mean, I wasn't in a relationship that year. Me and my ex of long term had split, and it was time for me to have my freedom and take my teenager self back, and it was just revolutionary to me. It was just eye-opening. I went to this business seminar and Tony Robbins got us to literally get out of my comfort zone. Seriously, we hardly had any time to think about it. We had to literally jump up from our seats. We were jumping up and down anyway to music to energize ourselves, and we had to go around in a few minutes and literally hug all these different strangers, business people who we didn't even know. I didn't really have time to think about it, and it's way out of my comfort zone, because back then I didn't hug anyone, right? Apart from my parents and a boyfriend if I had one. Just to say goodbye, and a boyfriend if I had one, right? Which I didn't at that time. That was it. That I wouldn't hug anyone else. Never strangers, never people I don't know, never my friends. That was it. I didn't really have any friends really back then, very much, right? And so my ex was quite bad like that. He kind of took all my the friends I had. I didn't really see them anymore. So I didn't really have any friends. But anyway, I'm out of that abusive relationship now, thank God. And been through it for years. So over 7 years now. Yeah. So anyway, really glad I am. Yes, so I went to this seminar, and I remember hugging this great big guy, and he was big in body mass, big in body height, and I just remember putting my arms around him, and he had a bald head with just a piece of like flyaway hair on top, and really big, wasn't really attractive to me. I remember hugging him, and I'm thinking, gosh, if I can hug this guy, I can literally hug anyone. And that completely changed my life. Now, I wasn't a comfortable hugger after that. It took me a while to get used to it more. I didn't like close body contact with anyone. I didn't like touching anyone who wasn't my boyfriend. I didn't like anything like that, right? But over time, now I'm cool with hugging friends, just to say hello, goodbye, that type of thing, not to cling on to. And I'm okay with, like hugging some strangers. If like there was two girls, for example, who had a car accident right outside my home, and this one girl, I could see she was really upset. I'm like, do you want a hug? And I didn't know her, but I was able to do that for her, and I knew she needed it. So I'm intuitive like that. I can do that now. And I feel a much more loving, happy, healthy person for being that type of person. I feel much, much better. And so, yeah, I just feel great, and this seminar changed my life, because for that first time in my life, I could actually see what skills and experiences I had in my life that I could help others with. I didn't realize how much knowledge and experience I'd had in life that I could help others with. But when I went to this seminar, it all came out in my head, because this business seminar made you think like, oh, everyone's got special gifts within inside them. Everyone's got special knowledge and experience to share with the world. And up till then, I hadn't noticed that about myself. And then when I noticed, I'm like, damn, I got purpose here. I got meaning in life. I can help others. Oh my gosh, it's complete turning point. So the first major turning point that year was my fibro. My mindset had just changed, and then my mindset changed even more, actually valuing myself more, self-love. That's when the real self-love came on. So before, my negative mindset went, but my self-love wasn't there like it should have been. It was just more like the negative mindset had gone. Because, well, obviously I did have some self-love, because I must have done, because I put myself first, realizing that the pain, I didn't want the pain to make me be on crutches or a wheelchair. So I changed my mind, but it wasn't really, it's more out of necessity and fear of what would happen if I didn't, than it was out of self-love. But when I went onto this business seminar, that's when my self-love journey really began, and I just saw the special qualities and experiences that I could help others with. And to this day, the more I help you guys, the more I share my message with you, the more I do these videos, the more I just explore my creativity, the more books I write, the more training. I've only done one training course for Asexual so far, but I'll be doing more. The more, things I get involved in that I'm passionate about, excited about, the more I have self-love. And I have huge self-love for myself now. I didn't years ago, but I do. And I really, really mean it when I say, if I wasn't here in this world anymore, and I was me looking at me, I would be really upset and miss me. I'd be like, God, I really miss that person, because I love myself that much. I love being with myself. I cannot tell you how much I love being with myself. I never get bored with me. Every day is like, it's just like I'm learning every day. Like I'm always watching YouTube videos, which are how-to videos, and learning about relationships and dating, and learning about how the mind works, and learning about intuition, learning about law of attraction, learning about people, learning about things, learning about mindset. I'm always learning constantly, all the time. Every single day of my life I'm learning. And the more I learn, the more I appreciate being in life. And the more I appreciate being in life, the more I love myself. And the more I love myself, the more I appreciate being in life. It's just, it's just wonderful. I just adore myself. Like if someone decides they don't want to be in a relationship with me, so I genuinely sometimes feel really sorry for them. I'm like, do you know, this comes from a place of self-love, not ego, right? I mean, obviously, if they don't think that I'm suitable for them, I hope they find someone more suitable for them, because obviously I'm not right if they don't think I'm right for them. That's fine. But from a self-love point of view, I think, are you crazy? Do you not know what you're missing out on? Do you know what I mean? Because I have so much fun with myself. I love myself so much that I really feel sorry for them. I feel like you've missed a really good opportunity when you could have been with a girl who's completely different to everyone on the planet. Really interesting character, really fun to be with, really vibrant, hyper and happy. And you know, who looks at the world differently and who breaks conventions and norms and doesn't just do what society wants of her and dictates to her. I just really admire that type of person. I admire other people like that, not just myself. But obviously, like, you know, and I know that I'm a very, very loving person, like a very, very super affectionate, very romantic, very loving person. And I think, you know, I worry that they're going to get someone who's not like that for them. They're going to end up with someone who's not so nice. Because I know, you know, there's a lot of guys out there that are not nice, but there's also a lot of women that are not that caring or kind or considerate. You know, there are some, but not all, you know. I'm just thinking, you know, you're going to miss out on someone who really loves you, can care for you, be very affectionate with you, be very understanding with you. Like, what the heck are you doing? You know, so I genuinely come from that place in my head, and then I have to think, hang on a minute, Sandra, they don't think you're right for them, so you're not right for them. Wish them well, hope they find someone good for them. You know, like, obviously I know that, you know, if someone thinks I'm not the one for them, then that's great for them, and like, it's great for me because it means I can get closer to the one that does think I'm right for them, that knows I'm right for them, that does love me for who I am, you know. And so anyway, this guy continues the conversation, and then he puts you know, like, he, because I said that if I was you know, my last message was that I even sometimes get upset if I die because I would miss myself so much. Right, I wasn't always full of self-love until 2012 when my life changed. And he put, "You're crazy," with a laughing face. So I said, yes, I love myself for that too, which is true. If anyone starts saying, "Oh, you're crazy, you're weird, you're strange," I'm like, great. I don't want to be different. I don't want to be normal. Thanks very much. I love myself for that too, you know, because that's not the type of reaction they expect. And then they put, "What's with all the self-love? I'm more used to people hating themselves." I mean, what the heck? You know, why are people used to people hating themselves? You know, because people lack self-love. You know, the way you get self-love is by spending time with yourself, by talking to yourself about all the positive qualities you have, by finding the positive qualities, by sitting there physically writing down all your positive things about yourself. Like a counselor that I saw years ago, they made me do this for homework. She said, "I want you to write down all your strengths and all your weaknesses, and don't come with no strengths. I want you to write down all your strengths, all your weaknesses." It made me see, this was before I went to the business seminar, it made me see that I did have some strengths. And so it's really important you start listing stuff about yourself. Do a flow chart, do a spider diagram where you put yourself. I've got one on my wardrobe. This desktop's in a wardrobe. This desktop can max in a wardrobe, but on my wardrobe I've got literally a thing saying Sandra, and I've got all the different things about myself that I love about myself. You know, emotional, sympathetic, empathetic, sensitive, kind, caring, generous, loving, giving, you know, all those type of things. So it's really important that if you're lacking in self-love and self-worth and self-esteem, you start doing this. You know, don't waste time. Get your pen and paper out now, start writing this stuff down about what your strengths are. You know, start focusing on strengths, not just, like, you know, you need to know your weaknesses as well, but start writing down all these strengths, you know, because weaknesses can be changed into strengths, or some weaknesses aren't actually weaknesses at all. They're what people and society's dictated to you is wrong with you, right? Doesn't mean to say that it's actually wrong with you, and what's one person's weakness can be another strength. Like, I talk a lot, right? Which some people could say, "Oh, that's a weakness because she's just always talking." Whereas other people would be like, "It's a strength because it means she never runs out of conversation with people. She can walk up to strangers. She can talk to absolutely anyone. The conversation never goes dead." Whereas the person who can't talk that much, they'll be like, "Oh, I don't know how to approach people. I don't know what to say to them. Can't keep this conversation going. I can't make friends because of it." You know, so most weaknesses can actually be a strength. You know, you've just got to look at it from a different angle. You know, and so you must, you know, get into self-love. You know, write these things down you. So I put, self-love is so important to your relationship with yourself and others. If you don't love yourself, then you can't expect anyone else to. You are the one you have to live with 24/7, 365 days a year. So if you can't love yourself as fully as possible and be happy with you, then you're going to have a pretty miserable life, which is true. I play by my own rules of life, no one else's. I self-date as much as possible too. It's great for the soul. Oh, what's it put? Self-date as in you fancy yourself, and I don't think I can love myself in that way. I prefer to give my love to someone else. That's what they put. You should always self-date. Self-date is not about fancying yourself, but if you fancy yourself, there's nothing wrong with that, you know? Fancy yourself, love your body, love your hair, love your eyes, love the skin you're in, you know, it's great. You know, a healthy, happy relationship starts with yourself. If you go into a relationship where you don't love yourself, you're lacking, right? You're lacking self-worth, lacking self-esteem, lacking self-confidence. And so when you go into a relationship, if you end up in a relationship that's bad for you, like I did in the past, if you've got low self-worth and self-esteem, you will take that crap from them. You will let them abuse you. You know, you won't want to, but you will allow that to happen. You won't walk away because you will be fearful of them leaving you, and you'll think there's no better option because you don't love yourself enough. You don't realize that you are the option. You know, you are the person to love, right? The healthy, happy relationship starts from within, right? If I love myself already, then I'm going to a relationship already filled up. My glass is overflowing, right? If I go to a relationship with low self-esteem, self-worth, it's not gonna be very good, is it? How am I going to be strong for the other person? I'm not. How am I going to be strong when they're away from me? I'm not. How am I going to be strong for them when they need me? I'm not. You know, if I'm lacking self-worth, I'll be like, you know, I'll be having anyone for a relationship because I feel I can't get anyone, so I'll just have anyone come along, all the rubbish. Do you know what I mean? Someone who may be really untidy, unhealthy for me, someone who may be vindictive, nasty, someone who, you know, maybe a creep. You know, it's really important that you self-love and that you do this all the time. You know, this person obviously doesn't understand why it's important to self-love. I don't think I can love myself in that way. I prefer to give my love to someone else. You don't stop. Just because you self-love doesn't mean to say you can't love someone else. Loving yourself first means you can love someone else more because you're coming from a whole place within inside you. You're coming from a whole being. You know, you're coming from a place of power to get into a relationship, right? If you come from an empty place, you'll end up with an empty relationship, right? You'll end up with a bad relationship. You don't want that. You want to come from a very loving place. So make sure you get a pen and paper, write down all your strengths, right? If you think your weaknesses are really bad, work on them to improve them. You're not going to be an overnight success at working on your weaknesses. Everyone continually has to work on themselves to improve themselves. That's what life's about, not stagnating in like, oh, I'm this way, I can't change. No, you have to change, develop, and grow yourself into becoming the best version for you that you can possibly be. Like, you know, self-esteem and self-worth is so important because it helps establish boundaries. It helps you not taking rubbish from people. Like people who do dating, right? They got no self-worth. They will literally have anyone in the relationship. If they're if they're an ego person, so if they need their ego stroking all the time, they need validation 24/7. You know, that's going to be a very bad relationship because they're going to be need to told 24/7 how important they are. And if that person stops saying those things and starts to turn nasty, they're going to believe that they're a bad person and they're wrong, and then they're going to accept rubbish from that person. Do you see what I mean? So you have to come from a place of self-worth, self-love, self-care. You have to really, really love who you are first and foremost before you love anyone else. You know, you have to care about yourself. You have to be into yourself because dating is hard. You know, you're going to get rejected as well. And when you get rejected, if you don't like yourself, you're just going to blame yourself all the time, hate yourself, think it's you that's a problem, and that you're never going to get a relationship when you just haven't found the right person for you yet. You haven't found that person who values you as much as you value yourself, who cares about you enough to be strong and be there for you, who steps up to the plate and says, hey, I really want this person in my life. You know, I'm going to make them my partner in love. Do you know what I mean? Because I respect them, I love them, I value them, I care about them, and I know no one else, you know, there's no one else that I'd want but that person in the relationship. Do you know what I mean? That's what's going to make me happy, and that's what I'm gonna, you know, and that's what I'm going to be loving towards myself, caring towards myself. And, you know, and then you'll get more likely to have a loving, caring person. Because at the end of the day, if you love yourself so much that you don't accept person who's going to stay with you if they're going to treat you badly, then, you know, you're going to get rid of rubbish people out of your life quicker. You know, I've had people that come into my life that I thought were really nice and they end up being rubbish for me, but I don't stay with them. You know, I could think, oh, well, you know, like, I don't recommend getting into a relationship quickly, but sometimes I do, and I hold my hand up to that. But when I do get a relationship quickly, I get out of it again quickly if it's a bad one for me, you know? And so I think it's really important that you love yourself. Like, I love myself enough now to walk away from a guy, even if it hurts, even if I get really upset. I love myself more than I love a guy who's toxic for me, not good for me, or not right for me. You know, I'll walk away from them because I value myself more than the person I'm in the relationship with, because they're not valuing my worth in the first place. You know, if they don't see how wonderful person I am and how good I am, and they just treat me like dirt, then I don't want to know them. You know, why would I? So it's really important that you list all the skills, strengths of yourself, experience of yourself, list all the good qualities about yourself, list, you know, like, everything you do that's good in your life. And there is some stuff, you know, maybe it's talking to a friend when they were down about themselves. Maybe it's like you went to post a letter for someone. Maybe it's you cooked a meal for someone. Maybe it's you rang someone up. Maybe you messaged someone because you care. You know, all these little things are strengths that are highly overlooked. They're about being loving, caring towards others, and therefore, you know, it makes you feel like you love yourself more because you're being a kind, caring person, you know, and that's why it's just so important. But unless you come from a place of strength going into a relationship or friendship, you know, people will walk all over you like a doormat, you know, and you don't want that, and your life will never be your own. You'll like be at people's mercy all the time, you know. It's really important that you live your life for you and that you're not at the mercy of other people, other people's agendas, other people's tasks, other people's goals, ambitions, and dreams. You need to have your own, you know, and you need to basically set boundaries with people so that they don't overstep them and don't start pushing all their life onto you. You know, you need to stand up strong and be proud to be yourself in your own right. And if you don't come from a place of self-love, that's not going to happen. You know, you're just going to be going around pleasing everyone. You're not going to be your true authentic self. You're not even going to know who you are some of the time because you're out of touch with yourself. You know, when I go on self dates, I absolutely love it because I get back in touch with my own soul, with my inner being, you know, and I just love me, you know, and being on a date with myself, it's just it raises the bar with myself. It raises my own expectations with myself. It raises my love with myself. It raises my care with myself. It makes me feel so good, you know, like, why should you have to wait for someone to come along and say, hey, I want to be your girlfriend or boyfriend, then we can go into this place together, we can go that place together, you know, won't it be great? Why aren't you doing stuff like that with yourself? Why are you waiting for someone to come along in your life and do that with you? You shouldn't be. You should be going out doing that type of stuff on your own. I self-date. I go to cinema when it's cinema at the weekend. I go take myself out for meals. I'll go to zoos, aquariums on my own. You know, like, I'll go for, you know, like, obviously some things I just do on my own anyway because I'm a single person, but, like, you know, the cinema was planned. I watched a kids movie which I reviewed on this channel. You know, it was planned. It was set on my calendar for 10 a.m. kids club, gotta go and watch this movie, you know. That's it. It's on my calendar, thing to do. I'm dating myself, you know. Dating is intentional. It's not like I just go and go, oh, I'm hungry now, I'll go in this restaurant. That's not a date. That's just like, you're hungry, you're a single person, you're going to eat on your own. A date is when you specifically set time in your diary or on your calendar to go and be somewhere with yourself. You get dressed up for yourself if you want to, you know, like, make your hair look nice, you know, make sure you got nice clothes on that make you feel wonderful and beautiful, you know. Go out, be proud, shoulders back, head held high, you know, I'm me, this is great, I'm going on a date with myself, you know, and it's just wonderful, you know, and it really, really boosts your confidence and self-esteem doing that, you know. It makes you feel like life is worth living, like, even if you're not in a relationship, you can be in one with yourself to that extent. And you can really, really love yourself. You don't have to wait for, if you like flowers, for example, you don't have to wait to be in a relationship to get flowers. You can buy yourself flowers. If you like gifts, you don't have to wait to be in a relationship to get gifts. You can buy yourself gifts, and all this stuff that you would usually do in a relationship, you should do for yourself. Therefore, you've got high standards for yourself, right? And a person that comes along in your life, if they can't match up to your own standards for yourself, they're not going to be good enough for you. They're not going to be good enough for you in the relationship. Because why would you accept any less standard for a person that comes along saying they want to be your partner when you give yourself better standards, look after yourself better than they do? You're not, because it's going to be coming from a place of less. Why would I go into a relationship where a guy is treating me less than I deserve? I wouldn't, it would just be cringy, right? If I started to notice that he was treating me less than I treat myself, I would obviously speak to him about it, saying, what's going on? This is what I'm feeling. Get him to sort it out. And if he didn't, that'd be it. I'd have to leave the relationship, because I don't want any guy, to come along and make me feel bad about myself, or make me feel that my life is any less than it already is. I want to feel that a guy, if I get into a relationship with a guy, he makes me feel as equally as special as I make myself feel, that he makes me feel as valued as I feel myself, that he really cares about me, deeply loves me, and would miss me if I'm not around, and really wants to be with me and spend time with me, because I do all that with myself. And the more I self-date, the more I'm consciously aware of doing that with myself. And the more you become consciously aware of how well you treat yourself, the more you'll notice, like a sore thumb, if someone comes along and doesn't treat you that way, the more you'll be like, hang on a minute, I was single and I was loving myself. I was enjoying dating myself with no aggro. I was enjoying me time. I was enjoying my pursuits, my passions, my interests, my hobbies. And now I'm with this person. I'm just worried because I'm not sure they're going to be honest with me, and I'm not sure that they really care about me the way I care about myself. And I'm not sure, if they're really right for me, because they're not right for you. If they are making you feel any less than you make you feel for yourself, then they're not right for you. You need to be really, really happy, secure, confident in yourself. And, that you are the best person for you, and if you're going to a relationship, you need to be getting a person that's the best type of person for you to be in, right? Someone who adores you as much as you adore yourself. And if they don't, then they're not worth it, And just keep your cup full up. If someone asks me, are you glass half full or glass half empty person, I say I'm a glass overflowing person, because I love my life, and dating myself at the weekend, I have to say, has given me a lot more self-love and self-esteem and self-confidence and self-worth again. It boosts it. It really does boost it. So I just feel so much better for doing that, because I kind of, after a while, with all the, the social media, all the people I speak to online, everything I kind of do, I kind of feel sometimes that my soul is a bit distant from me, that I'm kind of missing myself a little bit. I'm like, what's going on? I feel a bit disconnected from myself and myself. And so, when I go to cinema, I just spend an hour and a half, 2 hours having fun and enjoying myself and, lighting up my life, as it were, then my whole persona lights up. I light up. I love it. And it's just great. And so please start getting into self-dating if you haven't already. It's not an ego thing. It's a necessity to come from a place of strength, to come from a place of beauty, to come from a place of self-worth, to come from a place of self-confidence, to come from a place of self-love. Is just amazing. And I want that for you. I want you to understand how important self-love is, because only when you love yourself can you avoid being in relationships that are no good for you, or you can get out of relationships that are no good for you a lot quicker. If you have self-love can you survive in life and thrive in life. Because if I don't have self-love and I'm sat here for hours on my own, You know, I don't watch TV usually. Just what would my life be like if I was just hating on myself? It would be horrible. You know, at the end of the day, you're the only person who's with yourself 365 days a year, 24/7. If you don't love yourself, it's going to be a pretty miserable life, isn't it? So please, please, please get into self-love. Notice your strengths. Notice your experiences that you can help others with. Think about giving to others, but before you give to others, give to yourself. You know, give yourself the gift of loving you, of literally spending time with yourself in a loving, caring, really, really fostering positivity environment for yourself. And just be you, you know, live your life as your authentic, true self and do not care about what others think. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful and insightful in some way. If you have, please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button down below right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon to get notified every time I go live like now. I'll post a new video. And don't forget to share this video with anyone who may benefit from it. Until next time, embrace your quirky and each other's. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.